Something truly amazing happened over the weekend in Ottawa. Yes, it was, in fact, the Freedom Convoy, whatever, the big old protest that was down there. Thousands and thousands of trucks and thousands of people turned up to a, well, relatively empty Ottawa because Trudeau, as we talked about on Thursday, whatever that was, I was in close contact with the coof and now he's since tested positive, so whatever. Best of luck to the coof. Hopefully it finds another host to move on from that AIDS-ridden piece of shit. But with that said, we'll get to him shortly, but this was a massive, arousing success, okay? We got some pictures here that I'm going to take you guys through, and as you can see, people from all different creeds and all different parts of the country came together, descended on Ottawa in a mostly peaceful, mostly organic way as far as I can tell. Sure, there were a couple of plants there from some people. I couldn't find the story and I wish I could, because normally I just kind of, just lay low over the weekend, but I needed to check out and I needed to find out what the heck was actually going on in Ottawa, and I seen this and it's like, oh, okay. It was a random article with a random Instagram post that had somebody who just had like a pristine looking Canadian flag, 3 flags. I don't know if you guys seen this Instagram post as well, but it was being denounced because it was just an obvious fucking plant, along with another one. And this dude just managed to be completely and totally fucking bundled up, and all he was carrying was a Confederate flag. Probably not a plant, right? But no, the one that I was referencing before, 3 flags, okay? A pristine, still has the creases in it, Canadian flag, a Gadsden flag, the one with the, the don't tread on me verbiage, synonymous with libertarianism in the United States, which is a little bit odd. And then just under that too, there was a Nazi flag. I don't get it, okay? But yeah, then again, I'm not the RCMP sending in fucking, obvious plants there, because everybody there just having a good time, okay? They're just down there telling you enough is fucking enough, okay? Like, that's about as inflammatory as the signs would get. The parasitic elites have a monopoly on your health. Something about mental health matters, your lockdowns or cancer, AIDS, or whatever the fuck else was down there. But obviously, man, unlike there was that big protest in Washington. I think that was last week, but they can expect some truckers here very shortly. But they had that all organized, okay, and they had a whole bunch of speakers. Not to say that the Freedom Convoy isn't organized, because we talked about that GoFundMe that they have. Right now, last time I checked, it's encroaching in on $9 million fucking dollars, okay? So this shit, okay, these truckers who were gonna be out of work regardless, okay, they're gonna be well funded and they're gonna be here for the long haul, my dude. But like it says here, a truck convoy to stay in Ottawa until demands are met, organizers say, because guess what? They have the funds, and it's about fucking time. All it took, thank God, okay, because you know what? I've been really down on Canada for about as long as I've had the channel, mostly because it's just a group of people, Canada in general, is a group of people that are just going to go with the flow. Okay, sure, they might have thoughts about themselves, but mostly it's just a bunch of people that just like to keep their heads down. They don't want to say too much. They just want to go about their workaday lives. And now this shit is starting to affect them, okay? Because I don't know about you guys. I don't know where you live. I don't know if you're around people who drive truck for a living, but up here in Grand Prairie, that is, if you don't know somebody like that, you might be just holed up in the 214 place, because outside of that, literally, you can't throw a stone in a cul-de-sac and not hit somebody who drives truck, okay? Now that the federal government, the provincial government, your local government are telling you that you have to do stuff superfluous to your job in order to keep your job, enough is enough, okay? Now it's starting to affect everyday fucking life, and now people are starting to get mobilized, and this is what you love to see. Some of the organizers for the Freedom Convoy 2022 say they won't leave Ottawa until their demands are met, while denouncing any forms of violence and intimidation and calling on all demonstrators to remain calm and peaceful. That's why it's like, okay, that was always the message, okay? And they knew, which is another great thing, they knew in order to be legitimate, they couldn't be down there like, I don't know, some riots from about 18 months ago in order to really achieve any sort of lasting impact and not be seen as a nuisance, okay? You know what? Hey, drive down those roads. That's totally fine. You know what? Be peaceful. Use the roads that your taxpayer dollars have to fund, you know, use my roads all of a sudden. Be like another report I seen, and just make sure that you check those my roads first, because there are some people who, I don't know, just really love to simp for the government, especially in Ottawa, which is just like, okay, for my American friends down south, it's just like Washington, D.C. There's a bunch of just simps for the government that are down there, regardless of who's in power at the time, throwing nails on the road. Okay, there was a report with somebody who's like, yeah, I have a handful of nails right here and they're just trying to stop us. And it's like, well, okay, cool, you blow out some tires and guess what, there's just going to be people on the road for longer, so I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish with that. But they aren't they aren't terribly smart people anyways. We're not coming here to be aggressive or hateful or cause violence, protest organizer Tamara Litch told Epoch Times while passing Sudbury, Ontario. That's on the, I think that's between Toronto and Ottawa, but I don't know Ontario. If it fell off the face of the earth, nothing would really be lost. On the way to Ottawa, we're going to be staying for as long as it takes, and we're not leaving until Canada is free. Thank fucking God. Movement began as a backlash after Trudeau government introduced the vaccine mandate for truck drivers crossing the United States-Canada border starting January 15th. And if you think that, oh, this seems like a little bit of an overreaction, why don't you just shut up and fall in line, okay? It's not like it affects you, okay? It's just a small amount of truckers that have to get the jab in order to go between the borders. Do you think it would fucking stop there? Are you out of your tree? Have you seen how far we've come since 15 days to slow the spread? But you guys already know that. Just figured I'd clear it up for anybody who strays in here, or for the one guy who just comes in and on all of the fucking videos recently just decides to hit thumbs down. Like, what the fuck's your problem? Just don't be fucking subscribed. Or just maybe you'll end up like fucking so many others, okay? And then you'll just randomly get fucking unsubscribed because I see fucking numbers drop up or go up every couple of days and then they just come back down by 2 or 3. It makes no fucking sense. So hopefully you find yourself in the next culling, you fuck. Prime Minister Trudeau dismissed the group on January 6th as a small fringe minority. Oh, he's been absolutely spedding out here recently. That held unacceptable views that didn't reflect the majority of Canadians. Oh, I think you're going to find that is completely and totally not the case any longer. But we'll get to what he has to say here, or what he's doing here shortly. But the protest has since gained global recognition, with support coming from the likes of Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who's tweeted, and we talked about it last time, Canadian truckers rule, and then saying that, hey, guess what? CB radio and shortwave radios can't be controlled by the government, so feel free to use those. So we talked about that before, but who else is down there talking about the good folks, and where are these protests starting to disseminate? Well, they're starting to gain a foothold right there at the border, okay? And thank God something's happening in Alberta, because everybody's been relatively quiet on the subject, and I don't fucking like that. But tide is starting to turn. Truckers blockade the U.S. border crossing in southern Alberta. You'll love to see it. It's not like, okay, look at the fucking roads down there. It doesn't really look like anybody would be, wanting to travel very far. But no, you don't even have the opportunity to. And hey, I'm totally fucking fine with that, okay? Fine with being put on a bit of an inconvenience for the time being. That's totally fucking fine. Like, I was supposed to be building a fucking computer. I'm still running my old rig. And I told you guys it would be like, oh, I'd be taking the weekend off. Everything was supposed to be showing up. All of a sudden, I got fucking cucked out by UPS because they're blaming climate change. Let me read you this. It is absolutely fucking absurd. I read it. Everything was on target for last Friday, and then all of a sudden Friday morning, when it's like, oh, okay, cool, just make sure that it hops on the truck and it should be here. It left the Canadian sorting facility earlier in the week, so yeah, everything was fine. It's like February 28th, should be here, and then all of a sudden it updates significant weather events across the globe. What the fuck? It's already in Canada, you dumb cunts. Are impacting the UPS network. Although your location may not be impacted by adverse weather. Yeah, exactly. It's been in transfer for over 5 fucking days at this point, you dumb cunts. The movement of packages in the network may be impacted by weather conditions in other areas. Or the fact of the matter is, every trucker's on protest right now, and you know what? Hey, I got this half-assed setup right now, and you know what? I'll be fine with it for the time being, because that means getting the freedom back. Yeah, I'm totally fucking fine with that. I can wait for a processor for a half minute, that's fine. Over 100 truckers and other vehicles are blocking a southern Alberta highway bordering the United States. Good. More places, all of them, okay? And I'm not too sure what happened over the weekend as well in your city, if you're specifically in Canada or not. I know the second largest demographic, okay, on my channel is Canadian. So in your specific city, wherever you find yourself, or your largest municipality within driving distance, if you guys also had little mini protests as well. From what I heard, we had one out here in Grand Prairie as well. They were driving on the outskirts of the city, you know, at thousands of vehicles strong. That's what I heard. I didn't see it specifically, and I couldn't find any reports on it. Because, you know what, hey, mainstream media, they're kind of running in tandem with what our elected officials are saying, or rather not saying at this point. But convoy started on Saturday in support of the National Freedom Uprising that has swept across Canada. The truckers were given the warning by the RCMP to clear the area, with the RCMP posting a statement, "Go fuck yourself." How about that? How about that? The Alberta RCMP continue to act to preserve the peace and maintain public safety at the Coates border crossing. Extensive efforts have been taken to engage with all stakeholders in hopes that the peaceful resolution can be released. What about my George Floyd protests? What about my Black Lives Matter protests that broke out? Protests, by the way, that broke out in like Edmonton and Calgary. Where was your guys' statement on that? Doesn't exist now, does it?
We are working with truck drivers who are attempting to disengage from the event so that they are able to do so. However, current conditions have traffic immobilized.
Good. Keep it immobilized. Don't fucking give in. Oh, what does this useless sack of shit have to say? The blockade of the Coates border crossing violates the Alberta Traffic Safety Act. Yeah, so does your jab mandates, and so does your fucking jab passport. It violates mandates, so you know what? I got fucking something to stick in your veins if you need something, you cocksucker. Jason Kenney, go fuck your mother. It's causing significant inconvenience for lawful motorists. So are people who just want to, you know what, go to work without having fucking shit shoved in their arm. How about that, How about you take a look at the other side of this coin, rather, and could dangerously impede movement of emergency service. Emergency vehicles. You know, the ones that can't be operated because you keep firing fucking nursing staff. This blockade must end. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But from one elected official to one who can't get into too many specifics, but do we get another politician's support on this one? Well, yeah, exactly. Coming from a very obvious spot. There was a big rally in Conway, Texas, apparently, for Trump. It praises Canadian truckers convoy, protesting Trudeau's COVID tyranny. And again, there's those smooth brains that are out there. Trump is pushing the vaccine too. He never would have mandated any of this stuff. That's what he's talked about the entire time. If you want it, get it. He likes it. He's telling you, if you want to go get the booster, go get the booster. Okay, you guys do whatever the fuck you want. It's just mandating this shit is absolutely fucking retarded. Everybody knows it. And finally, Canadians are starting to speak up against it. Okay, so if you want to read what Trump had to say, that's totally cool, but it's a little bit germane to the topic. But let's talk about Trudeau, because he should have been down there. He should have been addressing the stuff, but he was like, no, I've been in close contact. I can't be getting this anymore. Well, apparently a couple days later, he decided to test positive for COVID. Take another test, see what that one has to say. Don't really know. Don't really care. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has tested positive for the coof. 2 of my own children have now contracted COVID. Oh my God, do they have a 99.998% chance of surviving? How will you ever cope with that? And they might even manifest something as a dry cough or maybe a runny nose. Oh my God, somebody please think of the children. I tested positive for COVID as well. It must be so serious that you had to be informed that you tested positive for it, right? I feel well and I have no symptoms. I guess you can't win them all. Trudeau said he will be working remotely and will keep following public health guidelines because they served you so well this time around. It's frustrating that after 2 years, the battle against COVID is still dominating so many parts of our lives only because you continue to allow it. This virus affects us all. And then this next sentence almost shut me down mentally for how fucking stupid it is, okay? I will continue to work remotely this week while following public health guidelines. Everyone, please get vaccinated and get boosted. Just in case you guys didn't know, that man right there, double boosted or double jabbed up, and he's boosted. And yeah, he's trying to tell you that it's the unvaccinated who are causing this to continue. Yep, that totally makes sense. But then again, what was his response to this? Because we've seen a tiny little bit of that. Okay, so yeah, he's out there in his cottage, and what's he doing? Well, he's accusing truckers convoy of racism and vandalism and sexism and all that other kind of fun stuff, because he has nothing. He's got nothing. Okay. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau addresses Canadians on Monday morning after the news that he had contracted the coof. Again, seriously, as if two of his children. He focused on the events that took place in Ottawa over the weekend after the arrival of the Truckers' Freedom Convoy. Oh my god, those evil rednecks just showing up. Why won't they just go home and fuck their cousins? Which have been gridlocking streets since Friday night, and they aren't going to be stopping anytime soon, so fuck off. I know you're wondering about what you saw in our capital city this weekend. Freedom of expression, assembly, and association are cornerstones of democracy, but Nazi symbolism, racist imagery, and desecration of war memorials are not. Oh, remember, okay, listen, it's totally fine, by the way, to fly the hammer and sickle, and then also pull down a bunch of different, historic statues, or just have statues of founding Canadian fathers. You just have them removed, pulled down, and spray painted. That's totally fine. But whenever you plant them there, that's totally different, I guess. It's an insult to memory and truth. A very small number of individuals carried racist flags. Again, I don't know if that was with or without the RCMP blazer. Not entirely sure. Including one identified man who carried a Nazi flag and one a Confederate flag. Again, these one-off individuals with a pristine flags, by the way. You know, people who are just dyed in the wall about the cause, I don't know, did they just keep spares on hand for just such an occasion? It's fucking weird how they'd never be just so open and honest about their own opinions without at these mass freedom protests against the government. And it's just weird how they never came out before. If they're just so against the government, why didn't we see any of this imagery out there for different rallies prior to this? I don't know. It just boggles the mind, really. There's no evidence that racist flags were linked to the convoy. Independent conservative news outlets have offered thousands of dollars to identify the individuals flying them. Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, constable or, yeah. Hate can never be the answer. Over the past few days, Canadians were shocked and frankly disgusted by the behavior displayed by some people protesting in our nation's capital. What were they protesting, by the way, if we are to consider them, or at least take it on face value, that they are legitimate protesters, okay? If they're down there for a cause, what are they down there protesting, Justin? Well, you don't want to say that. Instead, you just want to continue to fucking slander them, okay? And continue to say that everybody's on your side. Well, that's just really it's getting tough. It's getting tough. It's not a position you can hold for much longer. Not as long as the one that you can do with your ankles behind your ears. Not quite that untenuous, but you are more practiced at that one. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spoke against the growing truck convoy of vaccine mandate protesters in the nation's capital on Monday, claiming Canadians are disgusted by their behavior. The ones that you talk to and interact with on Twitter that are definitely Canadians and definitely not just journalist mouthpieces that you own and operate. I can say that because you just take a look at the bailouts that the major media publications in Canada got. So I'm not being hyperbolic by this. No, he literally pays off all of them. Okay, CTV, CBC, Global, you name it, they all take federal bucks. So Trudeau released a post on Twitter just hours after announcing he had tested positive for COVID. I know this pandemic is frustrating. It's frustrating that after 2 years we're not done fighting COVID. I don't know. You take a look around the world, there's a lot of other places, states, in fact, some countries that are just deciding that, yeah, no, fuck it, we're done, okay? You could talk to some elected politicians that think, yeah, no, it's time to fucking go on this one, okay? But yeah, no, you continue to fight that fight, and you continue to say that Canadians are disgusted. You can't say majority anymore, because the majority of Canadians want all COVID restrictions to end now. 54% of those surveys claim that all restrictions should be lifted. I don't know, man. They've been around for 2 years, and we're still fighting this fight with the same methods we have before, and it's yet to be successful. Cool. A new poll out by Angus Reid Institute shows that for the first time, Canadians want any and all COVID restrictions to end completely. Now they're starting to see that there's a growing force out there. And like I said at the beginning, Canadians are just kind of a head down group. They don't want to make any waves. It's a country that's very peaceful, okay? I'm not being, sarcastic. I'm not trying to make a joke about that. It's just a mostly a peaceful country, okay? Don't do terribly well with exceptional individuals because they just tend to flee, because it's a country full of 4s, 5s, and 6s, okay? And anybody who achieves a certain level, well, there's no money to be made in a socialist economy. There's no money to be made in a country so heavily regulated, so they got to flee to other corners of the world, okay? So it's a whole bunch of followers. So when somebody finally takes the reins on something and they get the green light to support it, now you're starting to see the silent majority start to voice their support. Poll found that 54% of those surveyed claimed that all restrictions should be lifted. This is up sharply from the last time this poll was taken at the beginning of January 2022, rather, so literally like weeks ago at this point, when 40% agreed with the same statement. What has changed with these 14% of people? Would they think they were going to get doxxed? I don't fucking know. The Institute further represents that women over the age of 54 are the only age and gender group. Imagine that. The fucking Karen-aged women. I'm shocked. I'm literally shocked. Are they also overwhelmingly a majority of van drivers? Is it an overwhelming majority of sensible haircuts that are out there? And that a majority of each of the other gender and generation groupings agree that the time has come. So just women at the age of 54 just want the big daddy government to just step on them harder. Cool. Instead of just taking out your daddy issues on the rest of Canada, why don't you work on that yourself, okay? Probably have plenty of time to nag your cats and work through it that way. Well, certainly because of this, the number of Canadians polled who have almost certainly had a COVID in the past 2 months have also increased. Yeah, they probably don't even know if they've had symptoms or not. They probably had to be informed like the Prime Minister. In fact, 9% of those who polled responded that they had tested positive since December 1st, 2021, and another 5% did not get tested but did report COVID-like symptoms during that same time frame. A large convoy of truckers from Canada and the US, now dubbed the Freedom Convoy, are protesting in Ottawa, and finally, since they made landfall, have elicited a response out there. It's about fucking time, okay? And if you thought Justin Trudeau's response was nauseating, wait until you get a load of Jagmeet Singh, okay? Something that he says a lot. Wait until you get a load of this, as he bends over and points at his asshole. Jagmeet Singh faces backlash after accusing truckers of white supremacy. Okay, again, white supremacy, right? The white supremacy with indigenous leaders there, French Canadians, people from all over the country, but it's just the white people, though. It's just white supremacy in action. You fucking race hustling hunk of shit. Fuck this guy. I hope everything bad in life happens to him and only him. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is facing backlash online after suggesting the Freedom Convoy is led by white supremacists. He sees them everywhere, right? And it was totally white supremacy because he took over. He took over from a guy who I didn't agree with politically. Okay, Jack Layton, he was in charge of the NDP for literally ever until he died of fucking cancer. He was just a hardworking socialist, okay? There was nothing really terribly wrong with him in the context of Canadian politics. Sure, he was a little bit left of center, but left of center for a Canadian. And then this asshole with a very little political experience to speak of, okay, very few credentials to even make note of, okay, all of a sudden, I got rag on head and beard on chin, and if you don't vote for me, you racist. And that's how he got there. Okay, and that's what he continues to go through. This is the same asshole, if you remember, not that long ago, right after my peaceful protests in 2020, asked for a unanimous motion in the House of Commons to declare systemic racism in Canada. And because one member of the Bloc Québécois didn't want to go along with that nonsense, he threw an epic spedfest, and then he had to be removed from the House of Commons. His antics are so blatant, it makes Al Sharpton blush. In a tweet meant to commemorate the 5-year anniversary of the Quebec City mosque shooting. I hadn't heard about it. I'm sure it was really tragic. A big moment for you, especially because you only worry about Muslim problems, I guess. But you're Sikh, so what the fuck are you on about, you creep? I guess there's not enough down there, and they're just, traditionally on the more conservative side of things, so you gotta kind of disassociate a bit, so. But this is a tweet. It's still up there, and it's getting ratioed to all fuck. Today we commemorate 5 years since the terrorist attack and murdered Muslims in the Quebec City mosque. We said never again. Would have been fine if you would have just cut it off there, okay? But unfortunately, as you can see, there's a little bit more to this. And this has been up for a few days now, okay? And this was everybody was descending on Ottawa for their peaceful protest, okay? Haven't seen any violence break out there, but all of a sudden, just wait for Jagmeet Singh to pipe up on this one. And today, Conservative MPs have endorsed a convoy led by those who claim that the superiority of the white bloodline and equate Islam to a disease. Okay, there's so much wrong with that second paragraph, okay? Conservative MPs, okay, like one conservative MP have spoken up in favor of the convoy, and the rest of it just ignore them like you at the fucking family dinner table. And the rest of that stuff is just fucking leftist gobbledygook, okay? The superiority of the white bloodline? What? No. And equate Islam to a disease. All right, based, but I've never seen any of that stuff there. You seen the fucking footage, okay? I'm sure there's more drone footage that's out there, okay? You seen some of the signs that are down there at the protest. What's there about racism? What's there about anything? What's there about bloodlines and disease? Like, what the fuck are you on about? But he's just out there trying to elicit a response from his fucking anemic party that is just basically a cock holster for the Liberals. You got Andrew Lawton here. Oh, he runs owns and operates True North. It's another smaller media outlet. Use them a couple of times when we're talking about Canadian issues. But in response to this, the brain dead tweet. I've seen Indigenous people, Indo-Canadians, hijab-wearing Muslims, Black Canadians, and people from all walks of life, all peacefully celebrating freedom at the Freedom Convoy. Yeah, exactly. To NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, it's a white supremacist hate fest. Yeah, because they're all just probably internalizing or expressing their white supremacy, and they don't want to piss off their white overlords because he feels just such an overwhelming amount of insecurity and inferiority complex that it's just on full fucking blast. And you got, I would love to be able to pronounce your name correctly, but sorry, my dude. You disgusting scumbag. Oh, that's the best way to start things off. You'll love to see it. You literally endorsed and supported the perpetrators and ideology of the biggest act of terrorism on Canadian soil. Air India Flight 182. You're the worst kind of ethno-religious supremacist there is. Thank you, Abe Iyer Mitra. You're making the world a better place by saying what needs to be said. Last but not least, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. I am so happy he's back. I'm so thankful that he's healthy and that he finally got his mind wrapped around the coof situation, and he's taken the side that everybody just kind of anticipated he would after he was just kind of taking a tepid stance on everything. He's coming back all guns blazing on this one. Okay. This is either ignorant or malevolent, and it is the former. It is an ignorance so profound that it borders on malevolence, and this is from a leader of Canada's hypothetical pro-working class progressives. At the provincial level, Dr. Jordan Peterson was a part of the NDP, okay? He worked on the campaign of, get this one, okay, the father of the future one-term premier of Alberta, Rachel Notley. Connect those dots out there. I don't hold that against him because it was a different party, it was a different time, and Rachel Notley is a flaming cunt. But what else did Dr. Jordan Peterson have to say specifically about the convoy, okay? Well, he tells conservative leadership to seize the day because literally nobody's been talking about it, okay? Aaron O'Toole, nothing other than just get all of the jabs, okay? It's a 2-minute video. Okay, we're not going to play it here because this video is already long-winded enough and there was a lot of shit to cover. So just the cliff notes on this one. He's like, Jason Kenney say something. Aaron O'Toole say something. Scott Moe say something, who actually has said something, but we'll go ahead and we'll get to that here in a second. He's like, literally, okay, everybody is just looking for a leader to properly structure this, to make some systemic change on this one. if somebody would say something about this, if somebody would just take this opportunity and run with it, seize the day, he would be at the head of a movement that would have an overwhelming amount of support behind it. It would have the support of the people out there who want an opposition party. Because you got the big three up top, you got the NDP, you got the Liberals, and you got the Conservatives. They're all talking the same thing. If somebody in the Conservative Party, if somebody in one of the provincial affiliates that are out there would just come out and say something, you would be a rock star over fucking night. Looks like somebody heeded the call rather. And that's Premier Scott Moe, who's talking sense, and that's out there in Saskatchewan, okay? One province over. It's about fucking time, really. Let's do this quick. The Canadian Premier said Saturday that the proof of vaccine requirement makes no sense, and he will end it in the not too distant future in his province. What's wrong with today? What's wrong with today, Mo? Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe said in a statement that being vaccinated doesn't prevent one from getting the virus, and the vaccine mandate makes no sense. See Justin Trudeau for proof of concept on that one. Unless he's lying to everybody, which wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Trudeau. I want to be clear on how I feel about vaccines. I am fully vaccinated with my booster shot. Cool. Sucks to be you, I guess. This did not prevent me from recently contracting COVID-19. Yeah, exactly. But I believe it didn't keep... but it did keep me from becoming sick. Yeah, that's basically what these vaccines are doing at this point, okay? Symptom suppressor. So call them whatever you like. I guess vaccine has a little bit of a catchier term to it, but whatever. What the fuck ever at this point, okay? That's another battle for another day. It's all about ending this tyranny that's out there and then taking apart everybody who is responsible for it after that. That said, because vaccination is not reducing transmission... Exactly. And there's not another big scary variant that's out there. We'll probably talk about a sub-variant tomorrow, which I don't even know the difference on, okay? All of this shit is fucking petering out, so it's about time to just turn on the fucking lights and let's get on with our lives. But they don't want to have to face a backlash on this one, so I understand them dragging their feet. The current federal border policy for truckers makes no sense. Exactly. They work alone most of the time. Anyways, an unvaccinated trucker does not pose any greater risk of transmission than a vaccinated trucker. Super based. He will continue to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. Sure, encourage to your heart's content, okay? I encourage thoughtful discussion, okay? A healthy amount of introspection, but yet still people continue to tune into network television on a nightly basis. So I'm not quite successful, okay? And I wouldn't mandate everybody just cut the cord on cable, because if you like to watch that slop, that's totally up to you. But I'm going to be out here still stumping for my ideas. I'm just not forcing anybody to do anything, okay? That's the best way to go about this. I don't see an alternative. I don't see anything that I should be forced to do, especially by the government. I'm a grown-ass man. I make my own decisions. But yeah, there's nothing really else to say about this one. Looks like truckers are going to be sticking around. Looks like these little spot protests are going to start breaking out in more places. We'll see what happens over the weekend, and we'll see if Justin Trudeau finally gets back to, reality on this one. Not fucking likely, but if he starts to realize that, maybe the winds are shifting on this one, and then he'll just pull a 180 and then just be like, no, I was always about freedom. I was just about stumping for the vaccine, not enforcing it. No, everything's fine. Please vote for me again when we eventually get a vote of non-confidence. You'll only get that once there's a proper leader for the Conservative Party of Canada, because Aaron O'Toole still, remember, just fucking turtle waxing his head, so he looks good on camera next time, you fucking cuck. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone, and truck Trudeau.